In today's reading, we are going to be focusing on your hidden beauty and looking into the shadows, hoping to cast some light on the traits in you that are actually beautiful, but that you either hide away for some reason or that you are simply not aware of yourself. So as a result of this reading, hopefully we will be able to empower you a lot more and help you to see the whole beauty within you. So if you are interested in all of that, then stay tuned and let's get into the piles. So we have 3 piles to choose from in today's reading, and they go as such. This card represents pile number 1. This card represents pile number 2. And this card represents pile number 3. If you already know exactly which pile is yours, then you can go into the description box, click on the timestamp that you need, and jump straight to your reading. But if you are still a bit unsure, then just a few of my recommendations. First off, try and get yourself into a quiet place so that you wouldn't be distracted by anything. Also, you can close your eyes for a bit, take a few deep breaths to really feel into this present moment and into your physical body. And when you look at the piles again, then see what is drawing your attention. What is your eye drawn to? Is there maybe a color or a symbol or a number, a word? What do you feel drawn to? Which pile pulls you in, or where does your eye kind of stop? Also, there can be something that you hear, something that you feel intuitively, some sort of sensation that comes up for you. Whatever way your intuition speaks to you, please trust that and follow it. But at the same time, I always recommend using your discernment as well as you are listening to these general messages. And having said all of that, let's get into it. Hello and welcome to your reading, pile number 1. My name is Helen and I am so excited to do this reading for you and to take a deep dive into your hidden beauty. So thank you so much for being here and for sharing your beautiful energy. But let's get right into it, right? So I'm going to look at the pre-prepared oracle cards in just a bit. But first, I want to feel my way through this card that you chose intuitively and see what I'm picking up on it. As is always kind of the norm here on my channel now. So pile number 1, you chose this mice card. And the thing that I'm feeling here is that you could be kind of anxious or someone who gets nervous quite easily. I'm feeling like you could be someone who gets like carried away with like negative thoughts or fears and insecurities and things like that, like kind of gnawing at you. You know, it's almost like you don't really want to get stuck in those kinds of thoughts. I feel like you don't even think about it consciously. It's almost like your mind has a mind of its own, you know, and so it's almost like this involuntary experience that you kind of go through on a like quite a regular basis, I feel. And so, you know, it's intrusive thoughts. I feel like that's the correct expression. I feel like you maybe suffer from intrusive thoughts quite a bit, and it's like your mind kind of constantly jumps to these like worst case scenarios or really blown up fears and situations that, again, like if you really think about it, then maybe, you know, things are not actually as bad, or you kind of realize that it's very unlikely that these things will actually happen, but like you kind of have those thoughts anyway. So it's almost like you have this constant battle within your own mind with your own self, you know? And so it could be difficult for you to even like take action or make decisions and make certain changes in your life, even if you would really like to, because of like this voice in your head that is always saying like, oh, but what if that doesn't work? What if you fail? What if people don't like what it is that you are doing? What if people start questioning what it is that you're doing? How are you going to explain it to them? How are you going to defend yourself? You know, and it's almost like this constant chatter in your mind, I feel. And so it can be quite debilitating for some of you. I feel like there are, it's obviously not going to be the same for all of you. So there is like this spectrum. For some of you, it may be a bit less intrusive, or it may be less debilitating. But for others of you, I feel like you could actually be suffering from like quite severe, either like anxiety attacks or panic attacks, or, you know, things where you just kind of lose control over your own self, and it really hinders your ability to live life like in a quote unquote normal way. And maybe even like some of the most mundane tasks and things that you either like kind of have to do for work, or even, you know, just like leaving your house and doing mundane things like going to the grocery store, or I don't know, taking your pet for a walk or something like that. Maybe even those types of things create anxiety in you. So yeah, it's just this like anxious energy that you could be dealing with here, pile number one. But again, as I said, it feels like it kind of varies. So the intensity of it is going to be different for all of you. But that is just the intuitive sort of energy that is coming through with this mice card. Yeah. Also, I feel that you may be someone who prefers doing things kind of in the shadows in general, or like, you know, behind the scenes. So it feels like you don't want to take center stage. You don't want to really be in the center of attention. It actually feels like quite the opposite, that you want to draw as little attention to yourself as possible. So I'm kind of seeing in my mind's eye like someone who goes outside, and then they like, you know, if they are wearing a like hood, right? They almost like pull the strings in, or they tighten the hood strings so that their face would be as kind of hidden as possible, you know, so that like no one would look at them or no one would see them. Something like that. And I don't know why I just got that visual, but I feel like for some of you, that is definitely the case, that you almost want to hide yourself away. But yeah, anyway, as I said, this is just the intuitive part. So if you are still a bit unsure whether this is your reading or not, then stay tuned for this oracle card portion, because we are going to look at how you would describe yourself, or what would be the things that you generally pride yourself on. So let's see what we have. Okay, we have introspection. We have medical kit. We have flow, recovery, moving on, finding peace. We have lantern and surrender. Okay, interesting. Okay, pile number one. So looking at how you would describe yourself, I definitely feel like you would say that you are someone who is very analytical and very insightful when it comes to understanding what is going on. Now, the first card out is introspection. And I feel like this is such a strong keyword for you, pile number one, because it does feel like you kind of live most of your life sort of internally going over everything. You know, I don't know why, but I feel like some of you could have Virgo placements that are quite significant. Maybe you have a rising sign in Virgo, or maybe your moon sign is in Virgo, or maybe your Mercury is in Virgo as well. That kind of seems like it could be prevalent. But of course, like any other planet placement could be relevant here too. I just feel this very analytical, very introspective, very much trying to kind of take a deep dive and understand what is going on. It feels like sometimes that can even be involuntary for you. I feel like some of the things you end up internalizing, whether you want to or not. So it's almost like whatever happens, whatever sort of experience you go through, you always end up sort of trying to digest it and see whether you had anything to do with it, whether, you know, something that you could have done differently would have affected the situation, or whether that would have had any sort of impact on how things unfolded. So it feels like you constantly try and understand your own part, your own role in how things unfold, and also how you like fit in to like the whole situation at large, and how you fit in with other people, and how you fit in general. So there seems to be a lot of this questioning and trying to understand, trying to wrap your head around what actually has happened, and what the reasoning behind it is, what the truth behind it is. We also have this medical kit card. And so clearly there is something very healing about you. I feel like this card specifically is talking about you having healed a lot of things in yourself, a lot of your traumas or a lot of insecurities already, even though, as I said, I feel like there are still things that seem to plague you. Especially for some of you, it could be like still like more prevalent. But yeah, with this medical kit, I just feel like you have put a lot of focus on trying to, again, unwrap some of these things that have either like haunted you in the past, or that have impacted you very deeply. And because of that, I also feel like, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, I also feel with this lantern that you could be someone who is able to kind of help others through your own healing processes. So the things that you have gone through have the ability to inspire or help other people, just offer support to them, you know, allowing them to know that they are not alone and that you have made it through, right? So that there is hope for them as well. It just seems like this illumination or this warmth is something about you that is really like palpable. And I feel like it's again something that you would generally actually pride yourself on. This ability to help kind of other people see the light as well in their like dark night of the soul, or whatever they may be going through. So yeah, I just feel a lot of healing with both of these cards actually. And it's kind of interesting that we have this flow card in the center here, which says recovery, moving on, and finding peace. I feel like you are able to recover quite easily from certain things, just because it feels like you have this ability to detach emotionally from whatever is happening, and you try to go about it in a very logical way, in a very methodical way. You're trying to understand it rather than like reacting from a very impulsive and emotional place. You seem to almost like, I feel like whatever happens, your first instinct is to kind of like take a step back, draw into yourself, and again, like internalize what is happening, trying to digest everything, trying to go over every aspect, every detail, and really just take the time to wrap your head around what has happened and what the best move forward would be. Especially this like finding peace and moving on. I feel like those are very strong keywords here too, because it seems like you are able to like not fly off the handle, right? When something happens or when something like triggers you, even if internally you are, you know, having a hard time processing it or going through it, and even if the emotions still kind of like rise up in you, I feel like you have a very good grasp on controlling your emotions so that it wouldn't explode out of you and make the situation even worse. So yeah, even though, as I said, it's kind of an interesting contrast here, because I feel like there is a lot of anxiety, there is a lot of like nervousness or kind of over-analyzing, overthinking, and sometimes getting way too stuck in your own mind, right? To the point where it's exhausting and it's annoying and it's painful and it's debilitating. But at the same time, like, you have such a good control on like your emotions and how much of them you reveal and how much of them you kind of let seep out of you. So it's interesting, this dynamic. And I also feel like, you know, there could be this aspect within you where you are able to like let certain things go without like, you know, holding a grudge, or maybe even some of you are quite good at like forgiveness, which is a very specific trait. But I feel like some of you could be really good at that, you know, where, again, you don't hold on to any like animosity or negative feelings towards someone else. And especially if you kind of understand it, if you unwrap the situation in your own mind for yourself so that you can understand the other person's motivations. That is also another thing I feel like you are very good at like understanding where other people are coming from, like being able to put yourself in other people's shoes and seeing why they may have acted the way that they did, or why they may have done something in a specific way, why they may have said something in that specific way. So it just feels like you have this ability to like be very like malleable or mutable and kind of see all aspects of the situation and see like everyone's point of view. That seems to come through as well. And last but not least, we have this surrender card. And so, you know, again, it feels like this ability to like not fight against what is going on or what has even happened, you know, just kind of letting go of trying to control your situation or trying to control circumstances that are not in your control. I feel like that is something that you have actually learned. I feel like it's not something that you have always been able to do, but I feel like this ability to surrender and to just like understand and again make a very clear mental distinction between what are the things that I can control and what are the things that I cannot control, and like not even bothering to exert energy in the things that you clearly don't have control over, right? That you don't have the power to change. I feel like that skill is something that you have learned, something that you have developed over time. And so that would possibly also be something that you kind of pride yourself on, that you know when to let go, when to stop fighting, and when to get more involved, or when you know that you need to do something. Yeah, that is kind of the description of you that is coming through from these cards. So most likely these are the traits that you are aware of. These should be the traits that you recognize within yourself, and that again, you know, some of these traits you would kind of pride yourself on. If you recognized yourself in this description, then most likely this is your reading, and stay tuned because we are now getting into the tarot cards to look at your hidden beauty. And we are going to start off first with the intentionally hidden beauty. So we are looking at the aspects or the traits that you don't want others to see, or that you feel shameful of for one reason or another, but that are actually beautiful. Okay. So wow, okay. We have the Moon, the Five of Wands, and Judgment. So I'm going to point out some of the zodiac signs that are coming through here the strongest, just in case they mean something to you and you resonate with them. We have Pisces with the Moon. We have Pluto with Judgment, so that would be Scorpio. And with the Five of Wands, we have some Leo energy coming through, and the Ten of Coins is at the bottom of the deck, which is Virgo energy. I actually want to start off with the underlying energy because the Ten of Coins is so interesting to me here. And the main thing that I'm feeling here is that you could actually be quite old-fashioned, pile number one. I feel like you may have certain traditional beliefs or values that you uphold, and some of your views on how things should be, they seem to be quite, again, quite old school, quite traditional. And maybe that's not something that you necessarily want to like go out there and shout about. I mean, I don't feel like you are necessarily ashamed of it or something, but it just seems to be something that you don't really like advocate for, or that you don't make very readily apparent. And the reason why mostly is because I feel like you don't want to cause like unnecessary conflict or unnecessary debates or something like that, or arguments or anything of that sort, because it's just, I feel like it's just so much easier for you to, you know, just not really say anything unless someone like specifically or directly asks you about it. And so again, it's like you are trying to hold this like, or keep this low profile, that sort of aspect of like kind of trying to stay more in the shadows. Like that came through earlier as well, and that's what seems to be coming through with this 10 of coins too. But I definitely feel like you have fairly sort of like fixed ways of seeing things, or like your value set is very much kind of fixed. But anyway, we have the moon that came out first, and with the moon, I just feel like you have so much emotion that is hidden in you, and it's kind of funny because I think I said something to the effect as well, that it's like you actually feel things quite deeply, and you actually you know, like internally, you may be going through a lot more than you let other people in on. But yeah, with the moon, it's clear that you actually have very, very deep emotions. And I feel like you can kind of get lost in that emotional wave sometimes. And it can get a bit like overwhelming and all encompassing. But again, it seems like it's something that you don't actually reveal or let other people see that much. But I feel like the level or the intensity of your feelings is actually a really beautiful thing, because I feel like it's one of the things that allows you to feel such like compassion or empathy for other people, to understand where they're coming from, to be able to put yourself into their shoes, right? It's like it's that specific trait that allows you to do that. And so with the 5 of Wands here too, I feel like you know, there are certain things that are actually quite triggering to you, or things that like get you really heated up or frustrated, you know, that can make you actually quite like combative or argumentative. But again, it seems to be, because these two cards came out together, it seems to be the things that like push certain buttons in you, or that you feel are somewhat like unfair, or there is something about things not being fair, or things being done in like a shady way, or where there is certain like injustice at play that really gets on your nerves and that really gets you going. So yeah, it's interesting because this 5 of Wands is saying that, you know, there is this little fieriness in you as well, that again, I feel like many people don't really see, maybe even like at all. I feel like only maybe a very, very few handful of people actually get to see the fieriness in you. But it's definitely there. And again, I feel like it's coming from such a righteous place. Again, it could be something that you don't necessarily want others to see. You know, you kind of losing your cool, or reacting in a more like explosive way, or letting that like frustration or anger seep through. I feel like it's something that you try very hard to control, but with the 5 of Wands, it's definitely there. Now, we also have this Judgment card. And so this is saying that you are clearly very much spiritually evolved and awakened. I feel like you have gone through certain spiritual ascensions, several of them actually. And so you seem to be way more in tune with like higher forces, higher knowledge, that type of thing. You seem to be able to see things from like a bigger perspective, or a higher vantage point. But again, we're looking at things that you don't really necessarily want other people to know about you. So I feel like your sort of spirituality, or again, some of these truths that you have uncovered, some of these beliefs that you have, some of these values that you live off of, or live by, I should say, those are the things that you don't really reveal, or that you don't want to get into discussion with other people with. And I feel, again, even though with this Judgment, it feels like you have some very groundbreaking and illuminating information that you have come to realize or that you have come to understand. But it seems like you don't really go about like preaching that to others, or you don't really like share it willingly, because again, I feel like you don't want to get into like confrontational situations where like people who don't think the same way as you do have the opportunity to start questioning you about that, or like questioning the understandings behind it, or trying to get you to explain it, or trying to get you to rationalize it in some way, which obviously like you can't really do. And so I feel like just some of these like deeper understandings, some of these deeper truths about like life in general and our purpose here on earth and reincarnations and all of those types of things, I feel like is something that you believe in and have a very strong tie to in some way. But it's again, it's like, it's not something that you necessarily want to share. But again, because all of these things that we're looking at are actually really beautiful, I feel like you have so much like wisdom to share actually. And I feel like you, with these understandings and with these sort of spiritual awakenings and ascensions that you have gone through, you could really illuminate so many things for other people and help them to see things from like a bigger perspective as well. So yeah, that is really what is coming through here, pile number one. But let's get into the traits that you don't actually know that you have, or that you don't recognize within yourself, but that are actually beautiful as well. So let's see, what are the unintentionally hidden beautiful traits in you? Okay, interesting. So we got the Lovers, we got the Eight of Wands in reverse, the Queen of Cups in reverse, and the Queen of Swords in reverse at the bottom of the deck. So we have some Gemini coming through with the Lovers, we have some Sagittarius with the Eight of Wands, some Cancer with the Queen of Cups, and Libra with the Queen of Swords. So with the Lovers, I feel like there is this ability to be loyal and committed that is within you, that you don't maybe necessarily give too much credit, that you don't give yourself too much credit for, because I feel like it's just something that is so kind of normal to you that you don't even like recognize it as something that is beautiful, as something that is worth appreciating within yourself. And it's like when you feel that something is important to you, when you feel like a very strong attachment to something, or something has deep value for you, I feel like you put a lot of yourself into that thing, whatever that is, so that you know you wouldn't lose it. So I feel like you have this ability to truly value what it is that you have, and sort of recognize the people, the things, the places, the situations that are worth being grateful for, that not everyone has. And so it's like you are able to notice the kind of the little things that maybe other people take for granted, or that other people don't necessarily put too much value in. But for you, I feel like it's quite easy to do that. It's quite easy for you to recognize those things, and also show with like either like acts of service or gifts or words of affirmation, or like whatever your specific language or love language is. I feel like it's easy for you to do that, to let other people know that you recognize what it is that they do for you, that you recognize what it is that you have, and that you put like energy and effort and attention into those things. So I feel like you are actually really good at taking care of the things that truly mean something to you, that you truly value. And I feel like with this sort of fierce loyalty as well, like even when things get tough, you are not someone who like easily runs away or abandons the situation or abandons the relationship or something like that. It's like you can be counted on and you can be relied on through thick and thin. And that is, again, something that isn't very common, especially these days. So even though, again, as I said, there was something coming through about like old-fashioned or old school values, even though that is something that is like normal to you, it's actually something that is quite special and that adds to your beauty. But again, it's clear, because it's coming out in this part of the reading, it's clear that it's not something that you necessarily recognize or see in yourself as being beautiful. Now, we also have this Eight of Wands in reverse and this Queen of Cups in reverse that came out together. And I mostly feel this message of like not rushing, especially with the Eight of Wands. I feel like you have this ability to just be, to just allow things to kind of play out and to be present as well. That's what the Eight of Wands, like, yeah, that's what I feel very strongly with the Eight of Wands here, that, you know, you have this ability to be mindful. You have this ability to just be present and to kind of acknowledge what is, rather than go after certain things or constantly chase something or be overly ambitious about, like, and I'm not saying that you are not ambitious, I'm just saying that you don't chase things that are kind of empty or not that full of meaning, actually. So again, we kind of get back to this notion of you being able to like separate what is truly meaningful and what actually isn't, right? What is worth you putting energy into, what is worth you taking action on, and what isn't. Where is it more wise to just kind of sit back and let things unfold? And I feel with this Eight of Wands that is something that you're actually really good at. And again, with this ability to just sort of observe, to just be, to just sort of take stock of what is, and to not constantly be living in the past or in the future, is again something that makes you like really attractive and makes you like such a beautiful person. And I feel like it's actually something that like other people really like admire in you, and I feel like they notice that in you as well. But it's something that, again, you clearly don't really put that much emphasis on, or that you don't really see as something special. With the Queen of Cups, which actually I want to talk about with the underlying energy, because both of these queens are coming out in reverse. And even though these are queen energies, they don't have to indicate that you have to be female. It's not tied to gender. It's just this more feminine, receptive energy. And with both of these cards, I actually feel fierce protectiveness and very fierce boundaries as well. With the Queen of Cups in reverse, it feels like you are very selective of who you allow to get like close to you, to get intimate with you. And when I say intimate, I don't mean necessarily physically. I mean, you don't allow into your intimate, vulnerable sphere. So because of this Queen of Cups, it feels like you actually have so much like love and protection and support to give, but you don't just hand it out readily, and you don't just trust people blindly. And so with this Queen of Cups coming out in reverse, I feel like you are very good at not allowing people to take advantage of you. I feel like, especially with the Queen of Swords being here too, you are very good at noticing quite quickly when someone is trying to take more from you than they are giving, or when they are overstepping certain boundaries. With this Queen of Swords, I actually do feel like you have very firm boundaries, and you are very selective of the people that you trust and the people that you open up to. And again, the people that you share this beautiful, generous, warm, loving energy with. And I'm not saying that you are not like a kind and generous person, but it just feels like you are very aware of how much of this like truly warm and nurturing energy that takes energy from you, how much of it you actually share, and who do you share it with. I feel like that is very, very like clearly defined for you, or you have very firm standards on who you allow to get access to that. And again, because of that, because of those fierce boundaries, because of you sort of managing that very valuable resource of your affection and your care, very like, because you manage it so well, you also are able to like keep away certain experiences in your life, certain like detrimental relationships, certain unhealthy patterns or dynamics that would otherwise potentially take root in your life. But because you don't allow that, you are so much more like happy and healthy as an individual yourself. And I feel like that is something that, again, is like, that adds to your beauty, right? Hopefully that made sense. So that was what came through from the tarot cards. Hopefully it was interesting for you to listen to, and hopefully notice or recognize some of these things in yourself as well. But to close the reading out, let's get one last message of support from Spirit. And I also want to read from the book with these cards. So let's see what we have. Ooh, wow. Okay. Very, that was very explosive. Okay, so we have play coming out, and at the bottom of the deck, we have listen to the music of your soul. So I'm just going to show you the card, but I am only going to read for the card that actually came out. If this card would focus. For some reason, the camera doesn't want to work with me again today. So anyway, there we go. This little creature. So listen to the music of your soul is what is coming through as the underlying energy. But the card that you actually got is play with number 6. So I am going to read from the book, and let's see what we have. Hopefully I will be able to keep it here too. So play. Life dances with death every day. We may not always be aware of it, but the death of a project or dream or relationship gives space for the new to be birthed. The cells in your body continuously die off to make room for the arrival of fresh new cells. The way to manage this dance between life and death, bitter and sweet, is to play. Lick the lolly, eat the cupcake, take the ride. Paint your nails or your living room walls a shocking, playful hue. Dance while you make breakfast. Find yourself a swing set and see how high you can fly. Color inside or outside the lines. Just color. Whatever else is going on right now, do yourself a favor and disconnect from the drama by indulging in ridiculousness. So yeah, I feel like with this message coming through, Spirit is really saying that it would be really good to just take things a bit more easily. I feel like it kind of ties back to this initial energy that was coming through with a lot of like anxiousness and a lot of getting in your own head and over analyzing things. Maybe just tuning into your body and, you know, just doing things for fun, just doing things for the sake of doing them. You know, like taking the edge off and allowing things not to be as serious. Maybe that is something that would truly help with these intrusive thoughts or these negative thoughts, and kind of just allow you to get more into your body and out of your own head. But yeah, that is really what is coming through here. So I'm going to leave you with that message. Hopefully this reading spoke to you, pile number 1. I truly hope that it was useful or insightful, or at the very least entertaining to watch. And if you are still here, let's see. You can leave me a lantern. I don't know, again, I don't know whether that emoji exists. Okay, actually, leave me a little candy. Leave me a little candy or lolly emoji in the comment section so that I know that you are still here, that you're watching this reading, that this spoke to you, and that you are part of my true soul family here on YouTube. So yeah, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I truly had fun doing this reading for you. And as always, I hope to see you next Friday back for some more messages and insights. So in the meantime, take care of yourself and all the best. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading pile number 2. My name is Helen and I am so thrilled that you are watching this reading right now and spending this time with me. So thank you so much for all of your beautiful energy. But let's get into the cards. So we have some pre-prepared oracle cards as always, and we are going to look at those in just a bit, because first I want to see what I am picking up on intuitively from this card that you chose. So you chose the Tower, and what I'm feeling here, pile number 2, is that you could be someone who is quite good at doing what needs to be done. You seem to be someone who is very easily able to take on responsibility, to sort of take on the brunt of the work or do things that are quite like stressful or difficult to handle. But I feel like that's not really the case for you. You seem to be very good at handling the difficult things and making the tough decisions, establishing certain like ground rules or creating certain systems that would serve the bigger collective or the bigger group of people. And again, regardless of how you do that or in which capacity you do that, whether that is professionally speaking, whether that is within your own family dynamic, whether that is in your own personal life even, you know, like creating structures and discipline within your own like lifestyle and habits and what you do on the daily, like all of that. It seems like you're very good at that. Also, you seem to be quite a like serious person, in the sense that you seem to take the things that you do very seriously. I don't feel like you are someone who tries to like, I don't know, get rich quick, or who takes certain shortcuts to get to where you want to go more quickly. Like, I don't feel like you are that type of person. I feel like you have the persistence, the perseverance, and the patience and discipline to do things the right way, to do things the correct way. And I also feel like you just kind of do what needs to be done without like complaining. I feel like you are someone who doesn't actually complain that much at all. Even if you are having a tough time, even if you are struggling, you know, it feels like you are very much like keeping that to yourself. It's like you're constantly having this front of like, everything is cool, everything is under control, I can do this, I'm fine. Like, that is like, those sort of expressions may be something that you say quite often. And yeah, even though it's all true, like in a sense, I feel like you are very good at handling things. You are very capable. I also feel like there could be a certain sense of loneliness here too, where, you know how they say it's lonely at the top? You know, so it feels like because you are handling things so well, and because you are taking care of things kind of like on your own, and I don't feel like you don't have any sort of support around you. I actually feel that for most of you, you have quite a strong supportive network too, but for some reason it still feels kind of lonely as well. So yeah, I don't know, that is what is coming through here intuitively, but we are going to look at some oracle cards next. So if you are still a bit like on the fence about whether this is your pile or not, then stick around for these oracle card messages, because these are going to say what you sort of pride yourself on generally. So as you are listening to these descriptions, hopefully it will be a lot easier for you to see whether you recognize yourself in these. So we have intuition, evolution, child. We have warrior, inner strength, clarity, presence. We have rats and release and let go. Okay. So pile number 2, I definitely get a very strong persona coming through from these cards, but let's start from the beginning. So we have intuition and evolution and child coming out as the first 2 cards. And with both of them, I actually feel like you have a very strong imagination when it comes to how you can better things and what needs to be created, what needs to be shifted or adjusted, what needs to be broken down and built in its stead in order to create evolution, in order to create things that would be better than what they used to be. So especially with this intuition and evolution, I feel like you are very good at sort of having this ability to make the right decisions. So it's like, yes, it's part of your intellect as well, and your strength of mind, and just your wisdom and your knowledge in general. But I also feel, especially with this intuition, that you have this strong gut feeling, or this strong intuitive pull towards what you feel that you need to do. So it seems to be a mixture of both of those things. And now also with this child, because this is talking about like new energy of sort of seeing the possibility and initiating fresh new things, I feel like it's really talking about your expansiveness when it comes to your imagination and your visualization capabilities. Like, you are able to visualize and see things and how they could be and what they should be, even, I want to say, more easily than other people. And so because there is this energy of like boundlessness that I feel, it's almost like your imagination has no bounds, or knows no bounds. It feels like you are able to have a much more expansive overview of everything, and get yourself acquainted with what are the actual possibilities around you. And it seems to be that you are very good at not just seeing things like from your own localized point of view, but that you are able to like dig deeper and do some like thorough research into what are the other possibilities that you may not be aware of yet that would actually work better than what you have in mind currently. So it's almost like there is this playfulness, there is this openness, there is this willingness to look into things that you are not familiar with yet, you know? It's very interesting that that is coming through, because right, like next to it, we have this warrior card, right? And that seems to be very much tying into what we were talking about in the intuitive part, where this sort of seriousness and taking charge of things, right? Like taking on the brunt of the work, or the brunt of the responsibility, carrying things on your shoulders. Like, that type of energy was coming through very strongly. And we clearly see that here as well, with presence and inner strength. So I do feel like you pride yourself on being able to, again, do the heavy lifting, to do what needs to be done, and to not like moan or complain about it, right? Because, you know, it is so easy to shove responsibility to someone else, to claim that something is not in your area of expertise, or that something is not your responsibility. It's so easy to do that. And I feel like a lot of people actually do that. But with you, I feel like it's something that you are not afraid of. You're not afraid to be the one who is responsible, the one who puts their head on the chopping block, so to say. There is an expression that I also want to say, but I can't say it. It's not coming to me. Something stops with you. What is it? I can't think of it. Sorry, it's eluding me. So I'm just going to let it be. Maybe some of you watching this know the expression that I'm trying to say. And if it comes to me later as I'm editing this, I will put it on the screen as well. But the buck stops with you, is that it? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's move on. So we also have this rats card, which is actually the mice in like traditional Lenormand. I feel like it's kind of indicating that you don't really let the nitty-gritty get to you. You don't let the small stuff like get to you. And especially because we have this release and let go right next to it. And so I do feel like these two cards work in tandem again. Basically, with this rats energy, which is very much like nervous and kind of gnawing away or eating away at you, right? Like undermining certain structures and stability and confidence and security. I feel like you are very good at not allowing the stress to get to you, and just focusing on what you can do, focusing on what should be done. Because I feel like it's one of those traits in you that you have, that you kind of understand that there's really no point in worrying about something, because simply thinking about it and worrying and going over the thing in your head 100,000 times is not actually going to solve anything. It's not actually going to change the circumstances in any single way. So you might as well just shut out the noise and come up with a plan, or just take action that you feel would best work on the situation, that would best create the solution that you want to have. Yeah, I also feel like you're really, really good at sort of controlling your monkey mind, so to say. And I also feel with this release and let go that you are very good at kind of like not living in the past, because it feels like you are someone who acknowledges that like what is done, and there is no point in like going over it or ruminating about it. And especially I feel that this is very prevalent when you make decisions. So when you have to make a certain tough decision, you know, it's very easy for some people to start going over that decision in their head once they have already made it, and start questioning whether they did the right thing or not, or maybe whether they should have done something differently and chosen the other thing. But with you, I feel like you have this very clear-cut way of going about things, where it's like you understand that that decision is made, and you can't really go back in time and change it anyway. So, you know, you kind of just live with what you have decided, and then, you know, sort of go off of that and take certain moves that are necessary based on what transpires next. So it's almost like you are constantly in this flow, and you're constantly moving with life and moving with the situations and circumstances, and you seem to be able to pivot yourself quite like easily or accordingly, because again, remember, we have this like child energy here too, which I feel like allows you to come up with very original and unique solutions in like whatever situation you are thrown in. So as I said, just in general, this feels like such a strong personality that is coming through here, pile number 2. And if you resonate with this, if you recognize yourself in this, then stay tuned for these tarot cards, because now we are getting into the hidden beauty of you. So we are first going to look at the hidden beauty that you are intentionally hiding, meaning what are the aspects or the traits in you that you don't want others to see, or that you feel ashamed of for one reason or another, but that are actually beautiful in you. So let's see what we have. Okay, you got more cards than I was planning on, but anyway, we are taking all of them. So we're getting quite a few major arcana cards. We have the Four of Cups in reverse, we have Temperance, the Devil, and the Star, and Strength in reverse at the bottom of the deck. So just to point out some of the zodiac signs in case you resonate with them, we have Cancer coming out with the Four of Cups. We have Sagittarius with Temperance, Capricorn with the Devil, and Aquarius with the Star. And finally, we have Leo with Strength at the bottom of the deck. So pile number 2, I do feel, I want to start with the underlying energy here. With Strength coming out in reverse, I do feel like the biggest sort of beauty that you are intentionally hiding away has to do with your vulnerabilities and with the more soft aspects of you. Because when Strength comes out in reverse, it tends to indicate that there are certain insecurities, doubts, and maybe even fears that you are feeling. But clearly this is something that you don't want other people to see, that you feel shameful of for some reason, or that you just don't like about yourself, you know. And it kind of makes sense, because we have all of this like warrior energy and this like being this super strong in charge person who like always has their stuff together and who is able to be responsible and take care of what needs to be taken care of. So, you know, it's this very strong and authoritative personality that we have on the one hand. And so it kind of makes sense that you don't really feel comfortable being in this vulnerable state with people, or letting people see when you are sort of having certain doubts, or when you are having certain fears, or when you don't feel 100% like confident in you, because it's normal that every now and then we kind of struggle with certain insecurities, or when we have certain doubts about ourselves, or it's like, it's normal to have those types of things. But we have this Four of Cups that came out in reverse, and so with this energy, I feel like you could be wanting to hide just how uncomfortable sitting in your emotions makes you feel, or going through certain like feelings, and unpacking what it is that is internally going on with you, what it is that you are sensing, what it is that your sort of emotional landscape is trying to tell you. So I feel like it could be something that you really, really struggle with, and something that just seems to be so uncomfortable. But again, I feel like it's not something to be ashamed of in reality. And I feel like it actually, again, it adds to a certain level of like authenticity, or again, vulnerability. And I feel like it actually makes you more relatable to people. So again, it has these like aspects of beauty to it that like enrich who you are and create this like beautiful complexity to your personality. But obviously I can understand why you don't really want to share that with other people. But we also have this Temperance card. And so this Temperance is telling me that you do have to put quite a lot of like strain or effort into managing your sort of inner landscape and staying in control of it. And I feel like you regulate yourself quite strongly regarding especially what you say, or what you sort of filter out, what you allow to be expressed and heard, and what it is that you keep to yourself. Temperance is very much about like being in control and moderating, right? Seeing that everything is just in balance and that nothing is in excess. And especially because we have the Devil here right next to it, it does seem like there is this level of control, or this need for control that you have. You may actually have certain like Capricorn placements. You could be, again, you could be Capricorn rising. Maybe you have your sun sign in Capricorn. Maybe you have your moon sign in Capricorn. Maybe you have your Mars in Capricorn. But I'm just pointing it out in case that resonates for someone out there, because it's just coming through. This Capricorn archetype is coming through quite heavily. But, both of these cards are saying that there is this level of need to be very much in the driver's seat, to be in control of things, to potentially like course correct. Or I feel like you may have a very hard time delegating things, or delegating responsibility or authority. It almost feels like it's something that it feels like you may have a hard time trusting other people. And again, I feel like it's something that you don't necessarily reveal. I feel like you don't want to let other people see how much you need to be in control in order to like feel okay, or feel like things are going the way that they are meant to be going. But I feel like, again, this aspect of control is actually what makes you such a strong individual. So even though I feel like you may try to hide it, especially when certain situations, like, how should I say? It feels like, when someone, just to give you a hypothetical situation, it feels like when someone asks like, okay, who wants to lead the group, or who wants to be in charge, or whatever. Like, let's say this is a school project, right? And you know how in like group projects, when someone asks who wants to be in charge, like it feels like even though on the inside you would be screaming like, I do, you may not actually be the one who like raises their hand, or allows other people to see how much you yearn for that leadership position, or how much you want to be the one in charge. It's almost like you kind of quietly allow people to appoint you or something like that. Or like when no one else says anything, then you're like, okay, yeah, whatever, I can do it. You know, it's like that type of attitude. But really on the inside, I feel like you have this deep burning desire to be the one in charge. And it's almost like you could be a bit ashamed of your like ambition or of your desire to go after things and have certain things, especially when it comes to like material aspects of life, because of the devil influence here. You know, you could be very much driven by like physical luxuries or physical comfort and material stability and all of these things, or just like having status and having people like look up to you and be sort of renowned for something. You may not really want to, again, like advertise it to people that much, or you may try to like downplay it or sort of play it cool, even though that's what you are internally feeling, or that's what is internally driving you. And finally, we have the Star card here too, which is kind of making me think, I don't know why, but I just felt like this could be talking about your, like either your religion or your spirituality or something like that, where you could have faith in something bigger than yourself. Like you could have, yeah, like this connection to the divine in some sense, even though in all other aspects you seem to be very much like grounded in the material realm, in the physical world. You seem to be very like firmly planted on earth, you know, and be this very like practical and methodical and rational person. And so there is something about your beliefs being kind of like otherworldly or yeah, just more spiritual in nature. And maybe that is something that you also necessarily don't want to share with people, or you don't want to let other people know what you kind of believe in, or that you have that sort of aspect to you. Because again, I feel like you may be afraid that it will take away from how people see you, or it will take away from your like respectability or your authority or something like that. Something that you have, like your reputation that you have worked so hard to create for yourself, or so hard to maintain. And then, you know, if people knew that about you, you could be afraid that it would make you more like weak in their eyes, or more irrational or something like that. But again, in truth, I feel like it just adds to like the complexity and the mosaic that you really are. So anyway, that was the part about the traits in you that you may intentionally be hiding from people. But let's look at the unintentionally hidden beauty in you. So the traits that you are not aware of, or that you don't recognize in yourself as beautiful, but that actually are. Okay, so yeah, we got exactly 3. Perfect. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Knight of Coins, which is Virgo energy. We have the Hanged Man, which is Piscean energy. With the 8 of Cups, we have more Pisces. And with the Chariot, we have Cancer. So heavy water sign energy coming through. Okay, so I want to start off with the underlying energy again, because the Knight of Coins is the energy that came out. And so this card is talking about like perseverance and persistence and all of the other things that we were already talking about when we were like looking at you and your personality. So I feel like the gist of this energy is that you are not afraid of routine. And I feel like it's something that, again, like having a certain like stable routine, or a certain way of doing things in a very constant way, is something that you possibly don't recognize as having a lot of value or having a lot of beauty about it. But I feel like it really does. Because again, it's not something that people are very good at, like following through and keeping their promises and staying true to their word and all of those things that the Knight of Coins represents. I feel like these traits of like reliability and stability is something that you don't really see as being that special, because I feel like it just comes naturally to you. It's kind of like your normal modus operandi, but because it's kind of rare, you know, it's something that truly adds to your beauty. Now, we also have this Hanged Man energy, and the message that I'm feeling here most strongly is sacrifice. I feel like you are not afraid, again, like we were talking about taking responsibility or putting your head on the chopping block. You are not afraid to do that. You are not afraid to like sacrifice yourself or put your own sort of comfort on the back burner for some sort of a bigger goal or objective that you're trying to get to, or even like if it's good for like the greater whole or something like that, then I feel like you are not afraid to step up and carry the load or do what needs to be done. That's that sort of energy again with the Hanged Man, you know, sacrificing your own comfort for the sake of something bigger than yourself. And again, it could be something that you don't actually see as a beautiful trait, but I feel like it's something that people truly like admire in you, and that makes you even more like attractive and strong and magnetic in other people's eyes as well. We also have this Eight of Cups, and so I feel like I actually feel courage with this card, which is so strange because I mean, that's not really the point of the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is just about leaving behind things that are not really, you know, for you anymore, that don't do anything for you anymore. But I feel like in this instance, there is this courage about it of feeling unafraid to leave something familiar behind in search of something that would be even better, something that would serve your interests or your purposes better. And so again, we kind of get to that aspect of like making difficult decisions or tough choices. This affinity for risk taking, but like calculated risk taking, is something that is something that you don't maybe like recognize in yourself as being beautiful, but it really is. Because again, like having the courage to walk away from things that are maybe comfortable and safe and familiar, but that don't bring you any sort of fulfillment and that don't contribute to like future growth and development. It's not easy to do, but it brings so many rewards. And I feel like you truly have that sort of ability to like focus on like constantly taking things to the next level, which we also see here with the Chariot. Because this is the energy of like moving forward, leveling up, you know, going after some sort of goal or desire and being willing to leave behind the familiar in order to get there, in order to do that, right? So the Chariot is not necessarily an easy energy, but it does guarantee like success and breakthrough if you stick to the task. If you put your skill and your will and your mindset in it. And I feel like with you, again, there is just so much of this like power and force of will and courage and determination that you seem to, again, take as like this completely normal or usual thing. But I feel like it's one of those things that you don't really understand how like beautiful it is and how special it is, because it's not that common in people. And I feel like especially with the Chariot, you know, this desire to constantly strive for something better, to make life and to make circumstances better, not just for yourself, but also for the people that are a part of what it is that you are doing. Again, whether this is like a career thing for you, or whether this is your family that you are taking care of, or you know, whatever this is, it seems to impact a bigger group of people. And so because you want better for yourself and the people around you, it's just such a noble thing, I feel. And again, we get this message of courage, right? Being brave enough to go after and get it. So those were the messages that were coming through pile number 2. Hopefully you enjoyed them, and hopefully you recognized certain things within yourself. But I want to close the reading out with a little oracle card message. And I'm also going to read from the book because I love these messages that the book has. But let's see what sort of support Spirit has for you. That was so quick. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we have protect your boundaries, and we're going to read from the book for this one, but I just want to show you the underlying energy too. It says light the candle of grace. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like you are very graceful, pile number 2. So this is kind of an interesting message here. But as I said, we are focusing on the card that you got, which is protect your boundaries, number 17. So I'm going to read from the book, and I'm going to try and show you the card and keep it in focus as best as I can. But, you know, as I read, my hand may drift. So hopefully it's okay. Okay. Every creature needs boundaries, but boundaries in and of themselves are not enough. They need to be protected, tooth and claw, axe and dagger. Call upon inner fierceness to guard your boundaries and protect your space. Snarl, growl. You're allowed to be feisty and fierce when protecting your boundaries and personal sovereignty. There's a time and space for compromise and cooperation. Now is not that time. Take an Aikido class. Learn fencing. Take up an activity that helps you understand and embody warrior stance. Oh my god, it actually says warrior stance. It's not about physical defense. It's about embodying the energy of protection. You have plenty of empathy. Compassion and understanding come easily to you. Now practice the fierce art of defending and protecting. Invoke fierceness as your ally. So it's interesting that we were getting like so many messages of having compassion and empathy, which clearly like kind of came through as well in these messages that we were talking about. But yeah, it's interesting that Spirit is emphasizing the need to protect your boundaries and very strongly stick by them, because I feel like it's kind of it's something that you do anyway, right? We were talking about it with the warrior energy here, but so yeah, I don't know. So maybe it's just something that is more needed at this time, you know, in order to like protect your peace of mind, or in order to protect what it is that you are doing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you are quite good at protecting your boundaries. So maybe that was just a sort of affirmation or reminder from Spirit. Anyway, I am going to leave it here, pile number 2. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it was fun to watch, or, you know, if it was insightful or helpful or useful in some way, that would be even better. But anyway, if you are still here, by the way, you can leave me a little toad in the comment section as an emoji, so that I would know that you are still here, that you're watching this reading, and that this spoke to you and that it resonated. So I don't know why I was called to this little toad. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I would love to hear from you and see if you are still here. Then, you know, I would recognize you as the true member of my soul family, and it would mean the world to me. So yeah, I hope to see you in the comment section. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm not going to keep you any longer. I hope to see you next Friday for some more messages on this channel. But in the meantime, please take care of yourselves, and bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading pile number 3. My name is Helen, and I am so thrilled that you are here watching this reading right now. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm really grateful. But let's get into your reading. So we have some pre-prepared oracle cards, which we are going to look at in just a bit, because I first want to feel my way through this card that you chose and see what is intuitively coming up from this image. So you chose the Sun card. And so this card is kind of straightforward in its energy. And so it feels like pile number 3, you could be a very radiant person. It almost feels like you couldn't hide yourself, or you couldn't stay in the shadows even if you wanted. It almost feels like whenever you go somewhere, you draw attention almost like unwillingly to yourself. But at the same time, I also feel like you are very much comfortable with being in the spotlight, with having people like look at you, listen to you. Maybe you're someone who is a very good like public speaker, or you do very well on stage in front of people. Because with this energy, it feels like you were almost meant to be seen. You were meant to be in this more apparent place in life where, you know, you can share something with people and people respond to it very strongly or very very deeply. Yeah, there is just something like that is bursting of life within you. And I also feel like you have something truly like insightful and meaningful to say, you know, whether that actually comes through from your work, the career that you have chosen, or whether that comes through just like your relationships in general, your sort of social network, or the groups of people that you interact with most often, or whether this is some sort of online presence that you have, or whether this is just like the sort of person that you are in your own family and in your own like group of relatives or something like that. It just seems like you have this kind of special aura about you. And again, there is something very like magnetizing here that seems to pull people in, and that almost makes you like irresistible. You could also have like very attractive physical features or something that is very noteworthy about you. Maybe your hair. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I definitely feel that for some of you, you have like really stunning hair, or that is something that people like notice about you straight away, or something that you yourself feel very proud of. Maybe you have like this like lush and very vibrant, healthy, thick hair. I don't know. Yeah, but it just feels like there is something that is like automatically pulls people in and pulls people's attention to you. Oh, also, sorry, that just came through. For some of you, it feels like you could also be have this strong desire to make people laugh, or to make people more happy and more optimistic. So it almost feels like when you see someone who is kind of feeling a bit down, or, you know, who is out of sorts, you almost can't help yourself but try and make them feel better, or try and console them in some way, or just try and like lighten the mood and create this more of a laid back and chill and optimistic atmosphere. And for a lot of you, that seems to come through with like humor and just the ways in which you are able to like diffuse situations that could be like highly charged or tense, or highly strung. And yeah, I don't know. It just feels like it's something that, again, you almost automatically do, you know? So anyway, as I said, this is just the intuitive part. So if you are still a bit unsure, then stick around for these oracle cards, because these are going to tell us about the ways in which you would describe yourself, or what are some of the traits that you generally pride yourself on. So let's see what we have. Okay, we have wealth, abundance. We have amputation saw. We have roots, ancestry, legacy, tradition, knife, and strength, determination. So pile number 3. I want to start off with the first card here, which says wealth and abundance. And I do feel like you consider yourself to be quite abundant. There seems to be this energy of like optimism that I feel most strongly with this card. And of course it can mean very like deliberately or very concretely that you are someone who has a lot of like material security, or who has accumulated quite a lot of like wealth and financial stability for yourself. So that could be something that you pride yourself on, that you are quite good at making money, or quite good at just creating this comfortable life for yourself and for your loved ones. But just generally speaking, I feel like this is talking about this attitude for life that you have, where like you always see possibility, you always see opportunity, and you recognize that the universe is inherently abundant. Like there is always enough to go around, and there is always a way for you to get what it is that you need. So this like inherent optimism that you seem to have is something that like definitely creates and calls in more of these opportunities to create more abundance in your life. Now, the interesting thing is that I feel like a connection between these two cards. We have this amputation saw and this like ancestry, legacy, tradition. So I do feel like with both of these cards, you are possibly someone who doesn't really want to follow the traditional road, or who doesn't want to do what your forefathers have done, who wants to kind of carve your own path. Because with this amputation saw, it's clear that you are cutting something off, or you are very kind of bold in your decisions to kind of go your own way, especially when it comes to your ancestry and your background and your heritage, and again like following certain patterns that maybe your parents or your grandparents or people before you have done, or what they have gone through. So it definitely seems like, you know, you could even be, maybe this is more of a specific message, but you could even be someone who does come from a background that wasn't so easy. You know, maybe you didn't have that much wealth or that much like financial material security when you were growing up, and maybe your parents or your grandparents and like the background that you have, maybe they were really struggling financially, and maybe they didn't have the easiest time, and so you have like worked really hard in order to change your own mindset and to change your perspective on life, and to really go after making sure that all of your needs are met, and all of the needs of your family members, your spouse, your partner, or your children, or whoever, like that they have everything that they need. So just like distancing yourself from certain negativity or lack mindset, or just poverty, like that could really literally be the case for some of you. That seems to be something that you have like distanced yourself from, and almost like completely rewritten your own story and your own future even, and where your life is headed. And so I feel like that is something that you also seem to be very proud of, that you are not necessarily dependent on anyone, especially with this Roots card. I feel like you could be quite independent, and maybe you quite early on, or when you were quite young, maybe you separated from your family or from your parents and from your like home life, and went out there and started making a name for yourself, or started making a career for yourself, or, you know, like really going after creating your own life. And yeah, it seems like that is just something that you feel very proud of, and rightfully so. But yeah, we also have this knife and this strength and determination. And both of these cards are making me think that you are someone who is possibly not afraid to make very concrete decisions. Yeah, to take certain action that you maybe can't go back on. So it's like you seem to be very like cut and dry about certain things, especially when it comes to your values and your morals. You seem to have very clear sort of boundaries when it comes to that. And you seem to enforce those quite strongly as well, where it's like if something doesn't support you, if something is kind of a negative influence, or it's just impacting you in some sort of negative way, I feel like with this knife card, you are quite quickly going to remove that thing from your life and not allow it to take up space and not allow it to fester and like impact you moving forward. So it seems like you have quite a strong sense of character and quite a strong moral compass, or a very strong sense of values as well, that you know exactly what it is that you will tolerate and what you won't tolerate. And with this strength and determination, it just feels like you have this relentless energy of going after what you desire. And again, it's like you don't give up very easily. I feel, especially with this like determination, this keyword of just constantly pushing yourself and not allowing like fears or doubts or anything like that to slow you down and to deter you from what it is that you are trying to achieve. So yeah, that is kind of the main energy coming through here, pile number 3. So if you recognize yourself in this, if that is how you would describe yourself, then most likely you're watching the right pile. And stay tuned, because now we're getting into the tarot cards and looking at the more shadowy beauty that you have. So we're going to start off with the intentionally hidden beauty, meaning that we're looking at the aspects or traits that you don't want other people to see, or that you feel shameful of for some reason or another. So let's see what we have for you. Okay, so we have the Chariot, we have the Six of Swords, and we have the King of Wands that came out in reverse. And at the bottom of the deck, we have Emperor. Okay, so just to point out some of the zodiac signs that are coming through here the strongest, in case you resonate with them. We have Aries with the Emperor. We have Cancer with the Chariot. We have Aquarius with the Six of Swords. And we have Leo with the King of Wands. So actually fire energy seems quite significant in general. You could be Aries or Leo specifically, or Sagittarius could also be something you resonate with. Let's start with the Chariot and the Six of Swords, because I feel like these two cards go together here. It does seem like some of the traits in you that you could be hiding away, or that you don't want other people to see, is this sense of restlessness. I feel with the Chariot and the Six of Swords, which are both talking about movement and sort of taking yourself to a better place, or leaving something behind that isn't either serving you anymore, or that, you know, is just causing you like strife or conflict or difficulty, or that you have simply outgrown. I feel like there could be something about it that like you may feel a bit shameful of, that like, how should I say it? That it could be quite easy for you to like discard certain people or discard certain things and situations. And that there is this like necessity or this urge in you to go out there and seek something better, to see whether something else is more enjoyable or more to your liking. And I feel like this restlessness is something that, you know, you may fear that people kind of look badly on, or that they may interpret as like a sign of weakness, that you don't have what it takes to go through like the more challenging times or the more tough times, and that you're constantly like seeking the easy way out or something like that. So it could be the reason why you don't necessarily want to let people know how easily or how quickly you possibly tire of certain things, people, or situations. And I feel like, you know, it's one of those things. I feel like you could be hiding that aspect of yourself by maybe sticking around in certain situations, even if you actually don't feel that like emotionally fulfilled by those anymore. Like, especially if we're talking about relationships, let's just take that example. Let's say that you are in a relationship with someone, and then at one point you don't feel like a certain way for that person anymore. And so you could be feeling this urge to like get out of the relationship and potentially seek a new one, or just like be single for a time or something like that. I feel like there could be this like distancing that you are developing within yourself internally, but that you don't like show right away. And so it could be one of those things that you feel kind of shameful of, that you have that trait in you, because I don't feel like you really want to hurt anyone's feelings, or you don't want to intentionally like let anyone down. Because again, that relationship thing was just an example. I'm not saying that that's the truth for you, but I feel like it actually, like this restlessness or this this trait in you where you may like tire of things quite easily, the way in which it's actually beautiful, or it adds to your beauty, is that it allows you to stay like excited. It allows you to stay like full of life and full of energy, because it seems like you are meant to be this person who is like seeking, or who is in search of certain things and certain experiences. And obviously it doesn't mean that you are like always going to be someone who constantly seeks something better. But because I feel like once you find something that truly is meant for you, that truly like kind of like ticks all of your boxes, I feel like you're going to kind of like settle down or calm down in that aspect. But for the time being, you maybe don't actually realize how this restlessness creates this sense of excitement about you as a person too. Because when you feel excited, when you feel full of life and you feel motivated to like go out and experience something, it's such an infectious energy, and I feel like it like ripples out of you to other people too, and it has the opportunity or the possibility to inspire other people as well, you know? So yeah, I don't know. That's what I feel here. And with the King of Wands in reverse and the Emperor as the underlying energy, I feel like both of these cards go together as well. And these seem to talk about this more like dominant aspect of you, where you may have a very clear way of how you want things done, how you want things to be in the way that you want them to be, if that makes any sense. You know, it's kind of like having your word be the final word. You know, it's that sort of energy that I feel here, especially with the Emperor. That is very much like this energy of being in charge and the energy of being this authority, right? The one who makes the rules, who makes the laws that like everyone abides by. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily what you do, but it just feels like there is this desire to be the one who like sets the stage, or who creates certain norms, or something like that, you know, this being in this position of authority, or having people like listen to you and really like follow your lead, something like that. But with the King of Wands coming out in reverse, you know, there is this little bit of this like stubbornness, which is very much coming through with the Emperor too, but especially so with the King of Wands in reverse, this stubbornness to have things in a very specific way. And again, to have your say, or to have your way be like the one that persists. So, you know, it feels like some of these more like ego-driven aspects of you are things that you again try to like mitigate, or that you try to hide in some sense. But again, it seems like, especially with the Emperor here, you seem to have certain visions, or you seem to have certain ideas that are actually like really good ideas, right? And so, you know, even if at times you feel this urge to be more pushy, or to like push your way through, even though you may feel a bit shameful of like that trait, especially because I feel like having people like you is something that is quite important to you. And I don't mean that like having everyone like you. I don't feel necessarily this like people pleasing aspect coming through here, but just having people like respect you and listen to you and value what it is that you do and who you are and what you say. That seems to be very, very important to you. So I feel like you don't necessarily want to like tip on other people's toes or piss anyone off intentionally. You don't really want to create conflict, because, you know, you want people to look at you in a positive light. And so that's why you could be hiding that aspect of yourself. But again, I feel like you actually have like really good ideas, and you actually have really good plans and visions. And so, you know, this forcefulness that you may be feeling and that you may be trying to like balance or moderate or hide sometimes, it actually adds again to the beauty of who you are. And even though it can be a bit of a shadowy trait, right, if it goes overboard, I feel like in this instance it actually enhances you as a person, because it's such a useful trait, and sometimes you really need to have this forcefulness of like, no, I know exactly how things should be, and you need to listen to me, and that's how we need to do it, right? You have to have this sort of pushiness or this forcefulness to sometimes get things done, right? Or to sometimes enforce like change or like movement in a new and better direction potentially. So anyway, that was what was coming through from the traits that you may be hiding away. But let's look at the traits that are unintentionally hidden within you. So the traits that are actually beautiful, but that you don't really recognize or see as beautiful within yourself. So let's see. Okay. Interesting. So pile number 3, we have the 2 of Wands that came out in reverse. We have the 9 of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck. So again, some of the signs, we have Aries coming through once again with the 2 of Wands. We have some Pisces with the 9 of Cups. We have more Aries with the Queen of Wands. But again, all fire signs could be significant here, Leo and Sag as well. And we have some more Cancer with the High Priestess, or Pisces could be significant too. Okay, so pile number 3, I want to start off with the underlying energy. Again, we have the High Priestess as the underlying energy. So this card is making me think that you are actually really good at keeping secrets and sort of being like this bit of a mystery. So the thing is, I feel like you don't really see that as something very special, but it actually adds to your trustworthiness. And I feel like it's something that makes people really like trust you with super personal and private information. And because of that, people also trust that you can make the right decision. So it almost like adds to your ability to make decisions on behalf of other people too, or where like people put their faith and their trust in you to know what it is that you are doing, because you seem to exude this like trustworthiness. With the 2 of Wands in reverse and the 9 of Cups coming out too, it seems like you are someone who places quite a lot of emphasis on comfort and on just like feeling good and feeling fulfilled by life. And with the 2 of Wands in reverse here, not being afraid to like go out there and get it. And sometimes even like mostly impulsively as well. With the 2 of Wands in reverse, it could be that you don't necessarily spend always a lot of time on like planning and thinking things through and going over something 100 times in your head. You know, it could be that some of these decisions that you do are quite impulsive and are possibly driven by like this instant reaction to something, or this you just feel something so strongly and you feel like you have to do it, and so you just do it because at the root of it seems to be this desire to have joy, to have pleasure, to have fulfillment, right, with this 9 of Cups. And so even though, again, it could be something that you don't really recognize as beautiful, I feel like it's one of those things that like inspires other people as well to be more present in life and to like enjoy life more to the fullest, right? Because like we can get so very carried away with everything that needs to be done and everything that has to be taken care of, and all of the responsibilities and all of the sort of the mundane aspects of life, that we sometimes can lose ourselves in the process and forget about the fact that we are also here on this earth essentially to enjoy life. Yes, of course, we're here to learn and go through certain lessons and develop as souls, but we are also here to enjoy the experience. And we can get very much lost in that and kind of lose sight of that. And so you being more in this like energy of like life has to be enjoyable, life has to be fun, life has to be good as well, right? It's not about being in like constant drudgery and hardship and strife. And so I feel like you are this reminder of that, and I feel like you inspire other people as well to find more joy and to allow more joy and comfort and pleasure in their lives as well. So it almost feels like as something that comes so naturally to you that you maybe don't even recognize yourself or in yourself as being beautiful. This is the sort of trait that has the ability to like ripple out of you and affect other people as well and influence them in like a very positive way, because it has the potential to make other people's lives much more vibrant and enjoyable as well. And we also have this Queen of Wands energy that is coming through here. Now, this is saying that you are someone who is kind of very independent in what you go for and what you want and how you express yourself. And it's very much actually tying back to everything that we were talking about at the beginning with the sun energy, how you are this like magnetizing and attractive person. And maybe for some of you, this is actually talking about your physical attraction or that like charisma and magnetism that, again, you may not necessarily see as being that special. Maybe some of you don't even recognize yourself as being like super attractive or these really like physically beautiful people, but clearly with this card being here, you are. But just more broadly, I feel like just this, again, this courage or this bravery to go out there and live life on your own terms. Again, with this Queen of Wands, you just seem to be so much in your own power. You seem to be so independent and not really reliant on other people's like opinions or other people's validation, even though, as we were saying, it obviously is important to you to like not be hated by other people or to have some level of support and respect from people. But I don't feel like you necessarily depend on other people validating you and other people constantly like praising you or giving you compliments or something like that. I feel like that happens anyway, but I don't feel like it's necessarily something that you yearn or that you desperately need or crave. And so with the Queen of Wands, it just feels like this beautiful personality that you have, where you just sort of live life on your own terms and you are not afraid to like go against the grain or do something that isn't like normal, that isn't traditional, that isn't like societally acceptable or something like that, where you just kind of, you know, again, you go your own way. That seems to be something that also even more so adds to your attractiveness and to your beauty. But again, it's like, it's just who you are. So you don't maybe necessarily put that much emphasis on it as being something special or remarkable or noteworthy. But with it coming out over here, it clearly is. Yeah, I am going to leave it here, pile number 3. Hopefully these messages spoke to you and that, you know, you had fun listening to them. But we're going to close the reading out with a last oracle card. This is going to be a message of support from Spirit, and I'm also going to read from the book to see what sort of message is coming through, because these messages are superb. But let's see what we have. Okay. At the bottom of the deck, we have protect your boundaries. So yeah, I feel like, you know, being very firm about who you allow into your space and all of that, that could be a significant message here too. But we are focusing on the card that you got, which is Beware the Shame Creature. And this is number 28. So let's see what the book says. I'm going to try and hold the card in the frame so that you could see it, but you know, if my hand falters or something, if it falls out of the frame, I'm sorry, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, so shame grows when it's fed. It'll gobble up your enthusiasm quicker than a frog devours fireflies on a hungry night at the pond. Once upon a time, you could not control how much shame you consumed. But as a sovereign adult, you get to choose how much you feed the shame monster by monitoring your thoughts. You are now responsible for how much it grows. Starve the monster by refusing to feed it your thoughts of unworthiness. Shrink it by sharing your shame stories. Find a trusted person and share for the sheer act of sharing. Hidden shame grows, but exposed shame shrinks. You don't need to be shameless or completely healed from trauma. You simply need to let out your shame so it doesn't complicate the situation. Write it down in a journal, collage it, then toss it in the fire. Just get it out of you. Shame has no place in a creature as lovely and deserving as you. Okay, so interesting that we are getting this emphasis of shame. So I don't know, maybe some of you needed to hear this. I mean, it didn't really come out in any of the cards here, but again, you know, it could be the like a relevant message for some of you. So I'm just gonna leave it, and hopefully from these messages in the book you got something supportive or helpful or useful. But pile number 3. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for watching this reading. I truly hope that these messages were insightful or useful, or at the very least entertaining to watch. And if you are still here, let me see if you could just leave me a little sun in the comment section, a little sun emoji, so that I would know that you are still here, that you're watching this reading, that you watched it all the way through, and that you are the real, true member of my little soul family here on YouTube. I would love seeing you and noticing you in the comments. So yeah, if you would do that, that would be amazing. And as always, thank you so much for all of your beautiful support on my channel. And I hope to see you back here next Friday for some more messages and insights. But in the meantime, please take care of yourselves and bye-bye.